Well, hello, DCO Nation. Welcome back to another DCO Live. Guys, it has already started in the comments. You guys are just all over it tonight. So, see who's all in here. Steve, Yakin Inshore, Small Craft Angler, Heath's in. Gosh, Tony's in. Steve, you're in. And actually, Steve asked a question, which I'm actually going to throw out there right now. Maybe somebody knows this, the answer to this, because I do not. It says, Chris, what does the crown and a number mean in the comments? I don't have any idea. I don't see a crown. So yeah, I have no idea. So if anybody knows what that means, let me know, because I have no clue. So, man, I've got a little frog in my throat tonight. But guys, we're going to kick this off. I didn't go fishing last weekend. I actually helped my oldest son move. He was living in a townhome, and they ended up moving and renting a house over in Carolina Forest. So we pretty much did that all weekend. And man, I tell you what a difference a day makes, because when I went fishing the week before, that was when all the heat advisories were out, and it was like 114 degrees. Excuse me. And, just a couple of days after that, that was when this cold front came through. And I think we're starting to push a week to 10 days with this, very mild weather that has really hit us. Lows in the lower 70s. I actually saw some lows a couple of mornings where it was like 67 degrees. I mean, just feels like October out right now. It's absolutely beautiful. And today, I don't even think, did it hit 80 today? I saw 79 for a long time. So, I mean, it is just absolutely crazy. This cold front that has just been hanging over us. So if you guys have been fishing during this cold front, kind of let me know what happened to the water temperatures, because when I was out a couple of weeks ago, those water temperatures were the upper 80s, almost pushing 90 degrees. And I'm sure they've had to have come down with all of the rain that we have had. I mean, every afternoon, it has just been relentless. I found one afternoon to cut my grass, and it has been raining every afternoon. My buddy Bill and I, we were supposed to play golf yesterday afternoon, but the rain came in. You guys may recognize the name Bill. He was in the last video that I just posted. So we were supposed to play golf and couldn't get out because of the rain. So between the the cooler weather and the rain, it has just been crazy. Small craft angler Brian, he said fishing was beautiful in Merle's Inlet on Monday. They were biting. Water temps were down to about 83 degrees. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I would have to assume that, one, with all of the rain, and the rain is actually, it's colder. So that's going to drop the water temperature. And then with the, the highs being 84, 85, yeah, that's got to bring the water temperatures down. And, all the cloudy weather. I mean, even today, I don't even think I saw the sun. The fog was in, and it was cloudy all day. So yeah, I would have to assume that things are just really been turning on. Steve said, yeah, water temperature in the mid 80s. And he said, the fish have been chewing. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'm actually going out tomorrow, and I think I'm going to give it a try. I'm kicking around heading down towards Charleston. I've been really watching the weather, because I don't want to make that trip down and then it start raining 10, 11 o'clock. So I don't want to drive down an hour and a half and then only be on the water for a couple of hours. But right now it's looking pretty good. So not sure where I'm going to go in Charleston. I may take off out of Garris, or maybe Wando, because I haven't fished out of Paradise now for probably 8 or 9 months. And, I'm also kicking around Station 26 there in Sullivan's Island. So I'm not sure. I think it's just going to be kind of a game day decision, where I'm going to launch out from. But I'm definitely going to be stopping by the Seawee Outpost. That's always one of my stops on the way down. I love that place. I usually get some kind of a breakfast sandwich. And then on the way back, I'll grab a sandwich and some lunch right there. So, absolutely love that place. If you guys don't know about the Seawee Outpost, it's on 17, right next to the Paradise Landing, maybe a mile or so up from there. So yeah, man, you guys have got to stop, check that place out. The big chocolate chip cookies are awesome. I always do a big chocolate chip cookie. So, hey, Gunnar, good to see you, buddy. Glad you jumped in here tonight. So I've got into the title, big news for DCO. So here is the news. A couple of weeks ago, Captain Bob reached out to me, and he extended pretty much an invitation for me to pretty much take DCO nationwide on the Outdoor Radio Network. And so after a couple of days of thinking about it and talking it over with Lefty, I am the newest program on the Outdoor Radio Network. So I'm going nationwide. It's pretty exciting. I absolutely am just, humbled by it, to take a little show like this and to try to turn it into something, you never think about, anything going that direction. I just love putting out the YouTube videos. And so, just the local meatball strapped the camera on his chest, and now I'm nationwide. I don't even know what to say. Hey, my my sister is actually on, Holly. She said, "Excellent news, congrats." I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, we're going to be on. I actually, so I recorded my first episode, but I don't know when it's going to air yet. There are still some things being worked out in the background, having to push that stuff, into a file folder and then having the radio station upload it and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's going to be on, next week or maybe the week after, but, yeah, we are going to be on the Outdoor Radio Network, and pretty much the format is going to be the same as this. Now, the only difference is I am not going to be able to do a live chat with you guys, but I have pretty much created a mailbag segment. So I am going to push out my Instagram and have people leave comments and questions in the Instagram, and then I will pull those on to that next week's show. So, if you guys have questions and if you want to have a shout out on the radio, you guys can leave questions and comments, and I will get to those on the radio show and answer that and answer all your questions. But I still plan on having all the guests on, between all of the captains that I've gotten to know here over the last year. I don't even know, maybe year and a half. I don't even know how long I've even been doing this. And then all of the guys from the fishing industry, I'm going to have on, Carrie Browning. Carrie, I don't know if you're listening or watch this, but, I plan on reaching out to you. Carrie is one of the board of directors on Release Over 20. And he's been on a couple of different times, and I plan on having him on. But, it's going to be fun. It's going to be quite a ride. And, hopefully I don't sound like too much of an idiot on the national radio. But the first episode, I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of a glimpse into that, is really it's just me just kind of explaining, how I got into fishing. I thanked a bunch of people. And then the second segment, I answered a couple of questions because it is still a fishing show. And so, I talked a little bit of fishing at the back end of the show. So, but that's going to kind of how it's going to be. It's going to be two segments. It's going to be a 30-minute show. And I'm going to be concentrating again on that saltwater inshore kayak fishing. And that's going to be the format. So yeah, pretty excited. I appreciate all the congratulations. Yeah, it's been great. And, I gave you guys a shout out because without you guys following and watching and keeping this fun for me, this would have never have happened. So, DCO Nation, I gave you guys a shout out. You guys were right up there at the top. I even called out a couple of names from the nation. So if you want to know who was called out, you'll have to just wait for the first episode to drop. And I will be putting that out there, kind of the time frame and the day that I am going to be on. So just kind of watch, Instagram and Facebook, and you guys will be able to pick that up and listen. So excited, we're ready to go. And, I've already got a list of guests that I'm going to be contacting here in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, that's it. That's the big news. So yeah, where do you go from here? This is great. I'm absolutely loving it. So, hang on. Small craft angler Brian said, man, I'm going to miss DCO live every Thursday. When is the first episode going to air? So a couple of things with that. One, DCO live is not going anywhere. I am still going to do DCO live every Thursday as long as I can still keep bringing quality content to you guys. If it starts to become too much and juggling too much, then something's gonna have to give. I don't know, but from right now, I am not planning on stopping my Thursday night lives. I enjoy it way too much. I enjoy, chatting with you guys. So yeah, DCO live is not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay right here. And if it does, you guys will be the first ones to know. But as of right now, I'm here every Thursday, 8:00, just like clockwork. So, but the first episode on the Outdoor Radio Network, I don't know yet. We are still working on some of the things on the back end. They are, they have to get like files set up and all kinds of stuff on their end. Like I said, I've already got my episode recorded, but now I just need the drag and drop onto their site so they can upload it to air it on the Outdoor Radio Network. So I don't know yet when the first episode is, but as soon as I find out, I will kick it out. I'll put it on the on my Instagram and Facebook, so that you guys can listen to it. And I know you guys already have iHeart on your phones, and if you're not listening to the Outdoor Radio Network, just search Outdoor Radio Network and it pops right up. And matter of fact, just like Captain Bob always says, it is the only outdoor radio show on iHeart. So if you guys like the outdoors, Captain Bob, Captain Moss with the Captain's Log. He is absolutely awesome. Matter of fact, Captain Moss is going to be interviewing me tomorrow night for his show Monday at 11:00 on the Outdoor Radio Network. So if you want to hear that interview, tune in Monday at 11:00 for the Captain's Log radio show, and me and Captain Moss are going to be talking. So yeah, so really cool. Just to be a part of that family. So that's kind of it. But This is still a fishing podcast, so let's talk a little bit of fishing. So again, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat, and we'll get to them. Man, I don't know why I have such a frog in my throat tonight, but so like I said, the last time I was out a couple of weeks ago. And I was out fishing with my buddy Bill, and I wanted to get him on a flounder bite because I knew the flounder had been biting and really chewing. And so I wanted to push him out and get him on some flounder. So when we paddled out there in the morning, I pushed him out in front of me, and I kind of told him where to go and some areas to hit and down some banks. And as we kind of worked back to a spot that I wanted to get to, and I worked behind him the whole time. Well, if you guys saw my video on the second cast, I was throwing some top water and a trout just blew up on it. And so right off the bat, Bill was still paddling out to an area and I'm catching fish. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this how the day is going to be? But the trout bite, especially the topwater trout bite a couple of weeks ago, was really good. It was on. And if you guys are seeing the same thing, let me know. Gunner, yeah, where's your beer tonight? That might be why you have your frog in the throat. Yeah, I know. Well, I thought about grabbing a beer, but because I had the frog in my throat, I was like, maybe I should do some water. But yeah, I think you're right. Well, as soon as I wrap up here, I'm definitely going to go get one. So yeah, thanks, man. But yeah, so the topwater bite for trout really has been on, and I'm sure with the water temperatures starting to drop down, it probably hasn't changed very much. I have been throwing the Mirror Top Pup, and it's the one that looks like a mullet with the black back and the white body, and it's been producing really well. So matter of fact, I have that tied on right over here right now, and that's going to go out with me tomorrow. And I'll probably start throwing that thing first thing, right as the sun is coming up. And right now, I think sunrise is right at about 6:30-ish, give or take. And I do know full moon, I believe, is Saturday. So tomorrow, when I looked at my app and it said 99% full. I'm like, okay, yeah, so it's a full moon. So yeah, so hopefully, that topwater bite will still be happening with that full moon and the trout will still be hitting. So I'll be working that. And then Bill and I, we kind of kept working back. We went south in Merle's Inlet this time, and we hit some creek mouths. I picked up a little small trout on the Prawn Star, just kind of drifting it, almost dead sticking. I really wasn't dead sticking, but I was just kind of giving it a little bit of movement. And a little small trout, maybe 12, 13 inches, hit that thing. And then we moved around a little bit, never got anything for a couple hours, came into a creek mouth, was rolling a paddle tail again, really slow, just bumping right off the bottom, and a little 13-inch flounder hit it. And then pitched around some grass lines, basically just jigging, and 14-inch flounder hit. I did hear some redfish feeding. The tide was coming in, and I did hear some redfish feeding back in some grass area. I mean, they were blowing up on some shrimp. And so I actually sent Bill around kind of the backside of this little grass area. And if you watch the very end of the video, the last 20 seconds was Bill hunting down those redfish back where they were blowing up. And we saw them. I was standing up and I saw them moving around. So I saw two. There were two redfish back there, but we just couldn't get him to eat. He made a couple of really good casts, which I thought, man, they're going to nail the shrimp that he was throwing. He was throwing a little voodoo, but they just never took it. I don't know if we had spooked them enough where they just kind of got that lockjaw, but yeah, we never did get on anything else. So, I got 4 fish. Bill got skunked out, which I felt horrible about, and hence the title of the video that I put out, this is why I don't guide, because I felt horrible. I was trying to put Bill in all the positions, but he wasn't getting anything. I was back away, throwing other areas, and I was picking up fish. I don't know why. It was just one of those days, but we're going to get him back out there. He had a ton of fun. Had a little bit of a kayak issue with a strap on the seat, but I got that fixed now for him. So, we ought to be in pretty good shape. Tony just threw out there, he said, does anyone use spoons like the Castmasters? The underspin jig head, Brian from Smallcraft Angler, seems to work. That's why I was thinking about using some kind of spooned bait. Yeah, Steve just right down here at the bottom just said spoons work great. I haven't thrown a spoon in a long time. I remember the last catch that I made on a spoon was a flounder. I was taking a spoon and I was just kind of jigging and rolling and jigging and rolling and kind of bouncing. And yeah, I caught like a 16-inch flounder. So yeah, Steve can probably speak on it a lot better than I can. But yeah, man, spoons are great. Go ahead and throw them. Absolutely. And the underspins work great. So any type of a spinner bait, and again, I know Steve uses underspins and spinner baits and small spinner baits with like grub tails and little paddle tails, and I know he picks up flounder off the bottom using spinners. So yeah, don't be afraid to throw that kind of stuff. They work great. And like I've said before, down in Charleston, with the water being a little bit dirtier and stained, I love throwing any type of a spinner bait, either that redfish magic or underspin, anything like that, to give it that little bit of a flash, to help with that stained water. Maybe they can see it. Maybe it looks like, a little pot of bait fish or something moving around the structure. So yeah, I love throwing a spinner bait. So yeah, Tony, get some and throw them, and let me know how you do with them. So, excuse me. But one thing as we're moving into, well, we are now into August. August and September is the let me see, kind of lost my train of thought. So August and September is the time that the redfish start to spawn. And so I am actually not going to be hunting these big bull reds. Back where I usually fish up skinny into these creeks, these big bull reds, these 35s, 40 plus inch redfish, that's not where they're spawning. So if I'm hunting redfish, I'm not hunting these big spawners. The redfish that are back up in there, they're going to be anywhere between, that slot size. I'm going to say 15 to maybe that upper 20s, something like that. And those fish are usually between 1 and 2 years old. And I got that information from David Fladd. David Fladd had a kind of a podcast interview. If you guys have not seen this yet, you need to go to Release Over 20 and look for his interview with Matt Perkinson from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. And Matt is the biologist, and they went over pretty much anything and everything redfish right now. You guys heard me say maybe about a month ago how the redfish populations are starting to decline. Well, they went into everything about how the redfish are declining and how they're seeing these numbers starting to decrease. One, how they test for numbers, how they net these things and count them. And, it's just not one specific area. It is thousands and thousands and thousands of areas over a year where they're counting these fish and what they're doing with all of this data. It is absolutely incredible. And, Matt was saying that these redfish, after they spawn, well, let me back up one second. These redfish, basically, these big bull reds are spawning in the kind of the inlets and passes and near shore. Okay, so they're right there. So Murrells Inlet, Georgetown, those inlet areas, the jetties, the near shore open ocean areas. That's where these redfish are spawning. And when they're dropping their eggs and they're being fertilized, basically these eggs are being brought inshore with the tide and being pushed back into the deep, or I should say, the shallow creeks and estuaries. So once these eggs hatch, they will stay back into these estuaries, back into these creeks until they're about 6-7 inches long. Okay. Once they hit 12 inches, Matt was saying that that's about a year-old fish, give or take. Okay. There's obviously some anomalies with some fish, but rule of thumb is 12 inches is about a year-old fish. So when you guys start to catch these 12-inch fish back in these creeks, that's where they grew up at. Okay. So they're not moving around too much. Now, once they start hitting that 12 to 20-ish, 21, that's that second year kind of aged fish. And they're starting to kind of come out of these creeks a little bit, maybe into some deeper areas. And then that 3-year-old fish is kind of that mid 20s, to that maybe 30. And, and by that time, they still haven't spawned yet. Which is, again, still just kind of blows my mind that these fish are 3 years old and they haven't even spawned yet. And so once they kind of start hitting that 35, plus inch, they start moving out and they start going into these deeper waters this time of the year, that August and September, and they start their spawn. And David Flad said, well, how do you know that they are spawning during August and September? And basically what Matt said was they can duplicate the environmental conditions in a closed tank. So they can have these fish basically in a big aquarium, and through the light duration, like this time of the year, they can simulate that, the sunset being at 7:30, it being dark until 6:30. So light duration plays a big role. Water temperatures play a big role. They can start dropping those water temperatures. And he said, just like clockwork, August and September, these fish will start spawning. So again, the science behind this is just absolutely incredible in how they track these fish. So again, guys, if you want to find out about these redfish and what we can do about them, go check out that podcast. Go to Release Over 20 and look at the David Flad interview with Matt Perkinson. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long, and it's really the only video up there that's that long. Usually the other videos are their monthly giveaways that maybe last 20 or 30 minutes. So once you see that, click on that and give it a watch. It is eye-opening. And, again, us as anglers, we need to really be good stewards of the environment and the fish that basically we're in charge of. If we don't police ourselves, then somebody else is going to police us. Take a look at North Carolina and what they're going through. So, guys, I'm not saying don't keep fish. I love redfish. I eat redfish. I get it. But again, maybe releasing that one back, it doesn't hurt anything. So just saying, let's be good stewards of the environment. Again, David Flad always says, hey, you don't have to, release all your fish. You know, he keeps fish, he eats fish, but just be aware of, you know, of the conservation side. So actually, hey, my dad just popped on. So it said, congratulations, son. So I appreciate it, Pop. You know, you had a lot to do with this. You know, again, my dad, he was the one that, you know, taught me how to bait a hook. And we used to get these little plastic, almost like tins of red worms. And we used to put them downstairs and leave them on the concrete floor because they'd stay nice and cool during the summer. But we would go out in the lake that I grew up on there in my backyard. And I don't know, it was maybe like a 5-acre lake. I can't remember how big it is, but you know, he taught me how to, you know, bait the worm onto the hook, you know, kind of weave it on there under a bobber and, you know, and cast it out. I think it was Zebco 33, and, you know, push the button and release the button where you want it to go. And yeah, and it was great. And then, you know, you taught me how to clean fish and, you know, then how to cook it up and fry it. So yeah, you know, really appreciate it. And, you know, you're just as much a part of this as everybody else. So yeah, it was good. It was really good. So, but guys, we're pretty much at our half hour. Man, it seemed to just fly by tonight. So again, excuse me, guys, you know, I really do appreciate all of you guys. Hang on, Captain Bob just said, "What's up with this chocolate chip cookie talk I missed earlier?" I don't know. Did I say something about a chocolate chip cookie? I don't know. I can't remember. But again, guys, I really do appreciate you letting me, you know, come into your lives every Thursday night. I appreciate you guys coming on, and you know, this is just been a ride. I love it. So now, as soon as I find out what time slot I got, I will be plugging that on here. But again, DCO Live on Thursday nights. It's not going anywhere. As long as I can balance everything out, then we're going to keep plugging right along with this, because again, I love chatting up with you guys and, you know, talking fishing and keeping it, you know, just on the down low. So guys, again, I really appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. I know I say it each week, but you know, if it's not for you guys, you know, the friendships that I've made with you and you know, the guys that I meet out on the landings and the ramps and all the waves out on the water and all that kind of stuff, it's been fantastic. So guys, again, I appreciate it, and we'll end it like we always do. Conservation starts with you. Release a fish for somebody else to enjoy. Guys, I will see you next week, and watch my Instagram and Facebook for the time slot for the Outdoor Radio Network, and look for Dead Calm Outdoors. And guys, I will see you all next week. You guys have a great week. If you go fishing, tight lines, and see you next week.